And with any luck, we'll find out if we are online. There we go. Stream is starting. It probably already has started. So, hi everybody. I'm Valen. This is Tomes and Tales. We're having a little technical difficulties today, where currently anything that we end up trying to put on the screen does not show up. So we're just going to do this manually. And that is, look, here's what we're reviewing today. Pitch Planet. It's fantastic. You should read it too. It's rated mature as a notice up ahead. There is nudity. There is all sorts of stuff that's rated 18 plus. So it's not for young kids. And the discussion, we should be able to keep it calm, and we won't be showing any nudity on the screen, hopefully. But there you go.
Also, there will be spoilers.
And yeah, there will be spoilers because, well, we're talking about it after we've read it. Now I'm going to introduce a few people here. We're going to start off with Kashka here.
Hi.
And then we're going to go with Callisto.
Hello.
And then we've got Helen, who has turned, her screen has gone blank, but she says hi. And then we've got Lilac SC.
Hi.
All right, and now I'm going to hand this over to Kashka. Let's see if she can take the book. And we'll proceed. And she's going to give us the intro because I believe this was your pick, yes?
Yes, this was my pick. Okay, so Pitch Planet. So this was written by Kelly Sue DeConnick and illustrated by Valentine Landro. Bitch Planet is basically what would you call it? Like a prison planet, basically, for women who are non-compliant, and there are a variety of ways that you can be non-compliant, and it is set in kind of a dystopian world. So as far as Kelly Sue DeConnick goes, she has written not only this, but she has quite a bibliography. Actually, I'm not going to go into everything, but stuff that she's known for quite well. There's Avengers Assemble, Captain Marvel, and there's another one that I really like that she's done called Pretty Deadly, which I hope we get to talk about, because I really like that one. And then of course Bitch Planet. So she, and actually this is kind of appropriate for Mother's Day perhaps, because she first became interested in comic books and feminism due to her mother. She grew up on various Air Force bases, and her mum got her into comics and perhaps feminism at the same time. I'm not sure exactly how that played out for her, but I'm really glad it did. And she is also married to a fellow comic book writer, who I'm not going to say his name because during 2013 she was 2012 she was written about, and the way that she was written about, she kind of I don't understand why they would do this to her, especially knowing that she is like, kind of feminist, but they wrote about her as the wife of this other writer, right? So instead of like recognizing her as her own very talented person, she's kind of reduced to being the appendage of somebody else. So this became okay, so I'm going to end up saying his name. His name's Matt Fraction, and it started this rather large kind of internet meme, saying, it was mostly on Twitter, people proclaiming they were not the wife of Matt Fraction to kind of show support for Kelly Sue DeConnick, and really support for kind of equality amongst writers regardless of their gender. So later the comics news site that had published the original report that referred to her as wife of Matt Fraction adjusted obviously their listing. So But she does push the envelope. I think I really like Bitch Planet and I really like Pretty Deadly and I love that she's doing these strong female leads. And I think she does push the envelope. And one of the quotes that is on her Wikipedia page, she explains, "I don't think it's a goal to make other people uncomfortable. It's just something I'm willing to do. I do purposefully push myself out of my comfort zone." And she also stated that she was willing, or she wanted to do this so that, oh shit, there's a bumblebee. Sorry, a bumblebee. Really big fat bumblebee. So did you see my eyes get really wide? But she stated that she wanted to do this so that her daughter doesn't have to. So I really appreciate that, and perhaps slightly appropriate for Mother's Day. And this bumblebee, Brian, is trying really hard to get him out the window. Come on, Bumble.
Down a level.
Sorry.
No.
Okay, so moving on though to Valentine Landro. So Valentine Landro has done quite a bit of illustrating as well. Not quite as prolific as Kelly Sue DeConnick, but he has done some other. I think Bitch Planet actually might be kind of the biggest thing that he's done, but he's also done some X Factor work. And what else did I see? Shadow Man, I think I saw in there as well. So yeah, he's the artist for the majority of Volume 1, which is what we're looking at today. But there is also what's his name? Robert Wilson, who did issue number 3 in this volume. So,
okay.
Without further ado, I think that's kind of my intro. I picked this because I really do love it's kind of a feminist, I really do love strong female leads in comic books. It's gonna be my thing. There's an ongoing theme here. And one more thing to mention about Kelly Sue DeConnick is that she has kind of adapted a lot of manga as well as part of her bibliography. So kind of an interesting thing to start with. I think that's kind of how she got started, and then did some of her own standalone English writing. So, okay.
Quick update for those that were curious: the bumblebee is safely outside the window.
Evacuated. No bumblebees were harmed during this.
Yes, we love our bees. The bees are our friends, and one made it outside safely. So, back to you, Kashka.
Well, I was actually kind of done, so I don't know if you guys noticed as well, but I got to the end and I was like, oh man, that's amazing. There was a Big Planet discussion guide in the background. They're like doing our job for us. It's amazing.
Yeah, and then I read that, and then I was like, oh, the first few questions are pretty good, and then I got to the end questions, I'm like, these are a bit over my head. Okay, this is like discussing in a very advanced English class, and I feel really underprepared. That's just me, though. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else read those pages and the questions.
I mentioned that we were doing this in my other comic book group. We just happened to do it on Friday. So it's all nice and fresh. And we did actually do those questions.
Do you have notes? Oh,
I just ones in my head.
That's amazing.
I feel cheated.
Oh.
Okay. So anyone want to start with questions?
No.
I'll start with questions. It's a really simple one. Is there a particular character that was your favorite, and why? I guess I should answer that since I asked the question. I think Penelope. Penelope, I think is her name. she was my favorite character. She not only was she was kind of the comic relief in a way, but she was also they gave her a lot of backstory, which I really appreciated, about between her and her grandma and how she ended up where she ended up, and how she still defies conforming, I guess, to these impossible standards. And some of my favorite panels, she's not even the main character in the panel, but oh my god, I just think they're just hilarious. Which is when they're running,
Oh yeah,
see her in
that
the
was
background,
great.
and she gets to fight in the very
Yes.
background with all the guards, and all of a sudden all the other prisoners like join in on it. Just hilarious. But for me, she was the most developed character, to be honest, and maybe that's why she turned out to be my favorite.
Okay.
That's
I will go next because I knew that this question would be asked, and Penny was my favorite. I thought she was very relatable, and it really showed more of the world that being a criminal wasn't necessarily doing the things that are like as we see murdering someone, stealing, whatever. One of her crimes was being obese. So it kind of filled out the expectations of the fathers more by showing her story. And also her story was really interesting, and I don't know, I liked her character all the way around, and she was just really funny. Most of the scenes that had her in it had some sort of funny thing happen, like the running scene or the very beginning when they're putting on the clothes and they tell her that they've given her clothes that match her match her specifications, and she's like, no, they don't. I can't fit like half my body in this thing. She was just all in all a great character. So yes, Callisto, I agree wholeheartedly.
She was like deliciously honest, wasn't she? It was like there was no facade at all. No, there wasn't the desire to even think about like conforming or like feeling bad for who she was or anything. So yeah, absolutely loved her as well. But I do think. Okay, so now we have to discuss how to pronounce her name. Did you say Kamau? Kamau Kogo?
Oh, yeah, that's how I said it in my head. No, that may not be how it actually is.
That was me as well. Yeah. But I did find her. I think she's a very interesting person as well. But I mean, Penny is definitely my favorite. But I did find Kamau to be very interesting and kind of perhaps a little more intriguing than Penny, because where Penny, like, her heart is on her sleeve and she's very like down to earth and you can tell like what she's about, kind of. Kamau, I think, is a little bit more perhaps because she's not quite as like brutally honest, I find her a little bit more intriguing.
And did you feel like they were setting it up like she wasn't going to be the only one that would have a like a flashback backstory? I felt like they were kind of like maybe starting with her, but they might do others later.
Yeah, I did feel that way. Although we did get a little peek at, oh crap, I forgot her name.
Mako?
Yeah, Mako's
Yeah.
like, backstory as well. We got like a tiny peek there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do feel like they're setting this up, although for what it was worth, it's like, and she's down. Oh god. But I do feel like they're setting this up to kind of explore other main characters' backstories in more depth in future volumes.
Me personally, I like the same character as well, but it's only because she's the only one I feel that I know enough about. And I feel that as this series goes on, they're probably, as you said, going to continue with developing each different character, perhaps those that survive, on that last on the team, and so on, that is being made. But I mean, currently she's the only one that really had a big development, and she's been featured in all of the little funny quips in the background that you see in a lot of the volume. And considering how, in my opinion, how very depressing this.
I think your sound cut out.
Oh, hello.
Oh, there you are.
Okay, sorry. So, considering how very depressing this entire concept is, I feel that the comic relief that is constantly interjected in the background is welcome in order to kind of balance it out, so that you don't just get burnt out on the entire hopelessness of the situation. But she's definitely my favorite character as well, at least right now. And what was it that you were saying just now, Lilac SC, about the characters?
Oh, that I thought they would show. Was this about like the flashback? Yeah.
Yeah, that they would show more.
It felt like something that they would repeat again, because almost that was like a full issue just on her, right? I think it was issue number 3. Oh, which was the one that Wilson did, the artist Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And it was called The Secret Origin of Penny Roll. So I see that maybe they'll do other kind of one-shot-ish issues on some of the others as they come up.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully.
So yeah, I guess the answer to that little side question was, yeah, I think that they are going to do that. Actually, for a moment there, I felt that they already had done that with some other characters, and then I started thinking, and I'm like, no, they hadn't. It kind of felt like it was natural, and like that was what was happening. So, but yeah, I think that they definitely will do that in the future.
Do we have Helen?
I think she's cut out at some point.
Is she? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've got her little icon here saying that she's still connected, but I don't think that she really is, because it's just got the little puppy face. So
yeah, I think she's going to be trying a different device momentarily. So.
Okay, well, no worries.
Do we want to move to another question in the
Yeah, we can come back
meantime?
for Helen's views on her character. So Val, your favorite character was also Penny? Or?
Yes, I think it was, provided Helen agrees, I think it's unanimous.
She's tough to deny.
What did everyone think of the art? I can go first on this one.
Have at it.
I thought the art style was really, really great for what we're looking at, because the nature of this bitch planet, or they also call it something like non-compliant something. Yeah. Anyways, so because this is a prison facility, it was interesting that they had like these holographic female characters. It was, like telling people to do certain things, whatever. But those were always in like this shade of pink, like it was like this. What the men thought should happen on this planet, and things should be done, right? So you see pink in a lot of these things. The men are making the choices on how to, like, which hologram to put up for things. Like, it's very much a Lord sort of deal, but just the art really reflected that. Those, even down to the way the women that were in the holograms were dressed. Like, they were all kind of skimpy, but they were playing it for women that were in this this non-compliance facility. So what was the point of having someone dress that way in a video recording sort of situation? So I don't know. It was. I thought the art was really great and really took you to that place and kind of was infuriating as well.
I imagine that the women, they had those holograms up to basically represent what those women were supposed to be striving for, but
yeah,
like
that's
what a compliant woman looks like.
Yeah,
yeah,
and a bustier and like underwear.
And thigh-high boots, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, I view this whole book as like the 60s and 70s culture, like, the Mad Men culture, which I never saw the show. I'm just thinking about what I imagine it to be. That uber sexual women are supposed to be pretty and not talk, and then like putting it in the future with a little bit of the Handmaid's Tale thrown in.
Yes, I felt a little bit like that too. Yeah.
Wait,
I definitely
say the last part again? I missed the last part.
With a little bit of the Handmaid's Tale thrown in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did feel that way quite a lot. It was kind of, and actually this goes with my answer for Lila Cassie regarding the art. I mean, a lot of the story is kind of like, exploitation kind of style. Reminds me of, some of the movies kind of from that genre as well. Like when you think about like even like Barbarella or something like that, it's like some of the like outfits and stuff, especially that the holograms are wearing, are like right from that. And I thought the art was perfect for that actually. I love the use of like the I'm sure there's a technical term for this and people can yell at me later. But the use of dots as well, like when you're looking at like this kind of a page, like the colorization is dotted, And I thought that was really kind of a throwback actually to that kind of era, I don't know, that kind of genre as well. So I thought that the art tied in perfectly with that kind of exploitation, genre.
Well, it showed you what was real and what was fake. So like the fake stuff was dotted and kind of that grainy old comic style, where you'd see the big dots and whatever. So I think it was helpful too, just to show how much they really could change to make it, like she made it, oh my gosh, that whole scene with the Georgia, I at first did not know where that was going. Like, why are you showing a Georgia scene and making tea? All this, that whole setup was fairly masterful. Did not end up in, I don't know. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll get to that. We'll get to that later.
Okay. Hey, Helen, are you able to chat?
Hi.
Yay, you're back
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yay.
So we have 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Who is your favorite?
I see. Sorry.
What?
I saw Peaches in
What?
the background.
Oh,
Sorry.
we see your puppy in the background there.
Sorry. Favorite character. And why?
Probably Penelope.
Unanimous. You win.
The most. She seemed to communicate the bulk of what this volume, at least, was trying to get across in terms of the world and how it functioned. So for me, she was kind of the touchstone, I guess, in terms of figuring out what exactly these women were in prison for and how they all kind of came about being there and what they thought about being there and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, actually, the fact that she's the ideal example of how the women were being oppressed, whereas some of the other ones might actually, for all I know, might actually be like mass murderers or something like that. But yeah, Penelope seemed to be just kind of, I think, as Kashka said, like, or maybe it was Lilac-Assy, I don't remember. One of you said her weight was one of her crimes. How some of it just doesn't seem right in today's culture.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other question was, what did you think of the art style? Which is what we were just finishing up when you were able to reconnect.
I really liked it. It seemed kind of... I got really confused at first, just because of the, like, going back and forth between present and past, and the, like, VR stuff versus... Well, maybe VR is the wrong word for it, but, like, the pink lady.
Yeah.
Was kind of intimidating and scary. Because she seems to be able to touch the women, which creeps me out. Plus, I mean, that face right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really creepy. So it's
Also, sorry,
Oh, hold on.
that face right there as well, super creepy.
Yeah.
What the hell?
it
sorry.
took
Yeah.
it took me like an issue to get used to. The art style, but I really liked it. I was really surprised by the amount of nudity in it. There was lots of nudity. I mean, only in specific scenes, but still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked it. I thought the characters were really interesting, and the art style was really great.
No, I have to agree with what the whole idea of like the dot colors. I'm an avid reader of, well, since my early childhood, from my father, Uncle Scrooge and Donald Duck comic books.
Oh, yeah.
Which the Uncle Scrooge comic books are some of the best stuff you could read when you're a kid. I tell you what, it still holds true to today. I mean, heck, how many people have ended up watching DuckTales and ended up enjoying that? It's essentially what that comic book series was. It's just a whole bunch of DuckTales cartoons. But there was some different styles. You could tell when there was like special editions and they were like, the colors were smooth and solid, and then you'd get some of the old stuff that was more like it was in like a really old newspaper that was colored on Sundays, and you'd get like that dot matrix type effect in there. And I think because of that, it definitely lends to the atmosphere of the book being kind of stuck in the past, even though it is in the future, I guess. I mean, heck, they're on other planets at this point. Otherwise, bitch planet wouldn't exist. But I mean, I feel how it's that really relates well to the story. And of course, there is like the mixture, like Helen was pointing out, of the hologram and how she kind of contrasts everything considerably. But yeah, I feel the artwork, while at a quick glance on the outside, is like, what is this? It looks kind of weird. But then when you understand what the plot line is, at least, it all makes sense, and it just works really well, in my opinion. I do enjoy different art styles, but I can't imagine this book being used in a different way, with the art style.
Well, I liked it because each issue had like this. It reminded me of like roller derby ads.
Yes.
With like the very stylized cover for each issue, and they maintained it through the book. And then it had like the little ads in it that kind of gave you more glimpses of how the world, is currently functioning, I guess, or the expectations from the world. I thought that was very well done. Each issue is kind of bookmarking with those ads and stuff.
Yeah, actually, I forgot that it had the little hilarity page at the end of each issue in the volume, where it's got like, you can clip out this little section, send $1, and you'll get shipping and handling. And
Yeah.
it's like
This.
oh, hold on.
Sorry.
Click on you. There you go.
You can keep talking, but I wanted to show one of the pages.
Yeah, that's awesome. Fold out, but it's got like the little I don't know if you can find one of those pages, but it's got.
Yeah, I'll put it up.
Okay, cool. It's got. Oh, I think she found one. Yeah, there we go. But those things there are fantastic and really, really oftenly in old comics. So that's another thing that ends up tossing in there. But it's also being used as like a communication platform between some Underground Railroad type situation.
I'm like totally intrigued by the rabbit thing.
Yeah.
What is going on with that?
It does seem a bit obvious, though. I mean, everything on there is like an advertisement, and then you've got this one personals ad that's like, I'm supposed to contact some secret society in this method? Yeah.
I know, but the next one is like, run, rabbit. Like, oh god, what? I have no idea who you are, what the problem is, but I really want you to get away.
I will say I think the ad pages definitely got more interesting and funnier as the novel progressed. The first one I was like, okay, yeah, that's kind of funny, and then the last one I was just like, oh my goodness, that's ridiculous, and what they were advertising was just crazy, and yeah.
But I think it's crazy for a reason, right? It's like it's supposed to
hold that back up again, Callisto. Go ahead.
It's supposed to give you like Lilac said, it's supposed to give you kind of a glimpse into the world, or I don't know, I think more people have said it.
Thank you.
And how absolutely detestable it is.
But I think also communicating with the reader as well.
Mm-hmm.
When there was one that was I think it was a weight loss one, and it was like, really, you don't need this. Stop looking at ads like this. Just be you, or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing quite a bit there, but I mean, I think, I don't know, I guess coming as a woman reading Bitch Planet, it was it seemed very pointed towards the reader as a comic that is probably predominantly, sorry Brian, going to be read by women.
Yeah.
It's also communicating ideas to them. Really, you don't need to be looking at stuff like this. When you're in the grocery store checking out, you don't need to be looking at all the weight loss tip magazines and that kind of stuff. Just be happy with who you are, which I thought was really cool.
Okay, so that ties into a question from the Pitch Planet discussion guide, which I was actually going to totally steal, because I think it's a very valuable question. It's basically asking about, what does non-compliance mean for real women in the world today? And I think that ties into what Helen was just saying. Do you guys feel that there are elements of compliance and non-compliance IRL today? It's kind of a
Smile.
heavier question. Yeah, exactly, that kind of crap. And I think that it doesn't have to just be about women either. I mean, Jem just saying, smile, and that is also said to men as well. And I think that can be just as much about personality types, potentially. Perhaps it's a little bit more. Okay. Perhaps it's a little bit more. Oh, I think it's definitely more prevalent with women, right? Because we still see sex. What are you doing over there? I don't know what you're doing. Okay. So.
I definitely think that there is compliance and non-compliance, and that it's continually evolving, right? There's no set rules that you can follow. I mean, even if you look at recent graduates from high school versus people who graduated 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that like whether you're male or female, there's different things that were acceptable then and are acceptable now, and you're treated differently based on how you present yourself. Like there was a news story I read the other day about, which actually kind of fits well with this, about a young girl who was sent home from her prom because her dress was deemed too revealing. But the problem wasn't that the dress was too revealing, it's that she was a heavier set girl and that she had a lot of cleavage in the dress. And it's like, well, technically, she's not doing anything wrong, but because you're not used to her body type, and because you're not used to women with that body type being okay expressing themselves, it doesn't fit with your view of how she should be dressed. So I thought, I don't know, there have been a couple news stories like that that have made me think of this graphic novel recently, and kind of how some parts of it are scary accurate and some parts of it are funny. Obviously, it's not all super serious, but I definitely think that there's compliance and non-compliance out there.
Well, there's a bunch of little kids that are like getting sent home for their clothing, like little girls wearing sundresses, and I'm like, oh my god, we all wore sundresses when we were kids, but now that it's deemed inappropriate, I don't get that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember running around in very little when I was little, you know, and it was totally fine.
Okay. I guess I should say something. I probably notice it the most. I don't like to wear makeup. I'm not very good at it, first of all, but I have never developed an interest in it. So I guess when it comes to, being a girl, wearing makeup can be a big part of that, and, not doing it sometimes seems out of sync with everyone else. And I haven't been persecuted or anything for it, but it is a little bit of a, I guess, non-compliant sort of thing.
Yeah, I haven't worn makeup other than to weddings in 20 years.
Yeah.
But I also tell people, if anyone gives me a hard time, I'm like, hey, how old do you think I am? I'm older than that, and it's because I don't wear makeup.
Do you feel like it goes the other way as well, though? And this is kind of veering away from the book a little bit, but I think it's part of the reason why I picked the book is because it does have this kind of interesting push behind it. But I feel like it's the other way as well. I feel like there is an element of negativity towards women who choose to be very comfortable with their body, if they have a lower body mass, or they're also very comfortable wearing a lot of makeup, or they're very comfortable spending a lot of time messing around with their hair, and I think I know I've definitely been guilty of it, going, wow, thinking when I see somebody who is perhaps wearing a lot of makeup and has spent a massive amount of time kind of preparing their appearance, and I've been guilty of thinking, you are not doing the female gender any favors because you're cementing these kind of stereotypes, but then I kind of think that I need to reel that back in a bit as well, because it's not about the one, a single person's appearance doesn't have to be about fighting stereotypes all the time. And if that's what they're comfortable wearing or doing, or then they should be free to do that without any kind of pressure from the likes of me going, you should really not be spending so much time on your hair or doing so much makeup because, you're just, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh God, you're, embedding these stereotypes further. So yeah, totally took a left turn from the book, but I think it's getting to be more about like people being comfortable with their body types and their appearance and expressing who they are, than it used to be. And I think that's like us slowly breaking away from this kind of compliant, non-compliant, the expectations that have been set on not only women but on men as well. A lot of men, there's an expectation on men to dress a certain way and act a certain way, and I think that men are still judged, but if they don't meet those expectations. But I do feel like women have the rougher end of the deal when they don't meet those expectations, because I think that women are kind of penalised a bit more heavily for it than men are. Okay, I'm monologuing now. Somebody say something.
I think anyone on either extremes, you've got people like me who don't wear makeup and don't see the point of it, but then you've got the people who are really into it, and wear a lot of it. And I think if you're any one of those extremes, you get pushback from either the other end or the people in the middle who are probably what. So it's like a bell. I view it like a bell curve. You got this really narrow window that you're supposed to fit into, and if you're on either end, you get flack for it. I mean, if you're fat, you get flack. If you're too skinny, you get flack.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to be the in between. So basically, you conform to everyone look like each other and act like each other. It's kind of like what I view as like interests. So, nerd culture, huge into nerd culture, and that at one point in time was not cool. You shouldn't be into that. It's all stupid stuff. Why can't you grow up? Why are you still playing video games? Stuff like that. But then, and from other points of view, I can see why they are so like confused and think that what you like is wrong, because I feel the same way about people who are really into sports. I'm like, sports is boring to me. Why are you doing that? It's just a waste to me to spend 4 hours sitting there watching people run around on a field. So I think it's just all, what is non-compliant depends on which side you're on. So, but some things are more acceptable society-wise than others. It all depends on what's in style, I think. Nerd culture is really big right now. I'm finally, in the majority, I feel. Not that I want to be. I'm totally hipster that way, but...
So I saw a little cartoon. I think it was like an 8-panel cartoon, and I wish I had pulled it up before we started this. But it was... Speaking of like nerd culture, it was a girl who was getting ready to go cosplay at a con, and she was cosplaying as Wonder Woman, and she was heavier set, and she went out and she was cosplaying, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, you're way too fat to do that. Why are you making us look at you when you look like this? And that's horrible." And then she was standing there and she was starting. Like, you see her kind of start to break down and cry. And then there's, like, another woman in the background who's really skinny, who's dressed as Wonder Woman. And everybody's like, "Oh my God, she's such a slut. Look at her asking for it with that skimpy costume." And it's like, just shut up. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. Sorry, that's
No.
but yeah.
I totally feel it. It's like your commentary is not required, and probably also not requested either. So zip it if we want your opinion. We will ask you for it.
I do think that men are often overlooked in terms of the expectations that society puts on them and how they're supposed to look and act. And like Adam isn't into sports at all, really. Doesn't understand it, doesn't dig it. And oftentimes I think he gets a little, not necessarily uncomfortable, but just doesn't really have any way to participate in discussions at work because, like, all the guys will be talking about, which is funny because they're all physicists, but they'll all be talking about the football game or the baseball game or whatever. And it's you get the feeling that it's not necessarily because they want to, but because they feel like they have to. Like, they're a guy, they're supposed to be interested in this. And it's like, well, surely you should just be able to be interested in whatever you're interested in and not have to justify it or fake it or whatever, just so that you feel like you fit in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like watching football.
I'm sorry, what?
Hannah, you're a girl. You're not supposed to like football.
As a hey-token male of the group, do you feel pressure to be more manly?
Yes. This is why I have my own little girl on my lap. No, there's just another dog outside that she's getting anxious about, so I'm trying to calm her down a bit. But I don't know. I've felt that before. I mean, it's in a totally different manner. I've been the one to actually do the negative things in the past. I will not be afraid to say that. I've been a jackass and a jerk to many people, and I regret that, but I can't take it back at this point. All I can do is learn from it, move on, and try to do right by it. Use it as a learning device and try and spread that learning curve myself. So, I mean, as Helen was saying, somebody that was wearing, a cosplay outfit and she was heavy set, and the first comments she said, like, oh my gosh, why would somebody do that? I actually think I remember saying something similar like that in the past. And if I saw myself now doing that then, I'd probably smack myself across the face. Because I'm me and I can get away with that. But, I mean, I would be really, really disappointed in myself if I saw myself doing it. But I know that I have. And like I said, I can't change it. All I can do is try to make things right going forward. And I'm going to try and bring it back to the novel here. I can't remember the question.
Good luck with that.
I can't remember what the question was at all. But I'm going to say that I think that when Kashka actually asked me, what did you think of it when I finished the book? I said, I was really depressed when I finished this book. And she's like, what? And the reason being is because just the whole situation that everybody is in. It felt completely and utterly hopeless. And I realize it's exaggerated, but it's also representative of what things used to be many decades ago. And I have to realize that there's always hope for change in the future, but it's just the fact that it will take so long and possibly be generations off that I can't help but feel sad for those that are experiencing it at that moment. So.
Well, I would also say that while in the cultures that I have experienced living in, this is, a distant representation of what happened perhaps decades ago. There are cultures, I think, that in the world today where it's much more prevalent, and compliance and conforming are much stronger currents in that kind of in that culture. I think, like you said, we've made progress getting away from that, but I feel like we're actually lucky to have done so. But there's still, I mean, obviously still room for improvement, right? Still the wage gap, still plenty of discrimination going on. So.
Yes, our discussion on Friday devolved into a nice political argument. It was
I can see, I mean, this is part of the reason why I like this book a lot, is it makes kind of got some, like, undercurrents to it that can trigger stuff like that. So anyone want to kick in a perhaps lighter question? To my like super heavy, let's talk about feminism in the world today question.
Can I go back to the art a little bit?
Yeah. Cool.
So one thing I just wanted to point out, so my favorite part of the art really were we talked about it, was the ads, but it was also the covers. I especially liked that stuff like this. It was very reminiscent. So it makes me wonder how many. It was very blaxploitation reminiscent, like movie poster type thing. It also makes me wonder how often that either the artist or the writer watched. So in the 1970s, there was a lot of women in prison movies. At the same time as the blaxploitation movies, like Caged Heat was like huge, and Women in Cages, Black Mama, White Mama. It was just. I wonder how many of those movies influenced this, or if they saw them at all. It's very interesting. I'd like to know how old they are, actually.
I seem to come.
I don't know.
I wasn't expecting
a
question of how old is the. Right. You kind of stumped me on that one.
Yeah.
She's 45.
Oh, that would make sense. She probably at least heard of them. I mean, she's only a couple years older than me, so.
Bite your tongue. But yeah, I do agree. The whole, just the comic book or graphic novel, the title of it being Bitch Planet there, it made me think of that kind of era. I don't know what you'd call it, but like Black Dynamite, Bitch Planet, and it made me think of kind of like the Quentin Tarantino make fun of movies, in a style with the throwback, and yeah, it definitely gave me that kind of vibe as well.
Yep, I think it's a good vibe to get. I like that part of it.
So, moving on, because I'm seeing like a quietness falling over the crowd. I think I might have a question. Okay. I've been relatively quiet just because I know that in topics like this I tend to step on people's toes as well as my own. So I try to listen more than talk. Yeah. But it's just so that I can make sure that I'm contributing to the conversation and not detracting from it in a negative manner. But in this series, it seems to have kind of, in the volume 1 at least, it seems to have kind of gone up a hill at some point, like the interest and the potential for them to, I don't know, make some kind of impact with this sports team that they're building. And I'm curious, after their severe defeat at a practice game and having some of their own people on the team killed, not let alone I think that they lost with the score and everything. Just everything went horribly wrong. Do you think that this is actually going to end up leading to a story of liberation and understanding, and that they will actually accomplish their goal, or that it's just going to be about the struggle? or something else? Discuss.
I feel like if you have them accomplish the goal too early, then you lose a lot of meaty story. There's so much to go over and so much to discuss with this type of stuff, especially in today's climates. And especially using references to the past and visual images that people can identify and kind of use to understand where the story is coming from and not just read it as straight sci-fi. I think if you have them come to liberation or a conclusion within, the next volume or two, then you're going to miss out on a lot of interesting discussion that you could generate from continuing to explore different ways, and maybe not necessarily staying on Bitch Planet. Like, you could leave Bitch Planet and look at other things in this world that they've created. I would be partially interested in seeing how the men in this world are treated. Clearly they're kind of silver spooning it over there, but are there expectations and are there rules that they have to follow? I'd be interested in seeing more of the world and seeing how the non-compliance and compliance issue comes to bear for everybody, not just for women. But I think I think women are definitely the main arc of the story, and it should continue to be. But doing some side stories about like other people that are affected would be really interesting.
It's a good point, because I do remember one of the male characters ends up kind of just disrespecting one of the higher ranking people, and I believe he ends up dead. So that's a good point. I guess there would be certain expectations and behaviors that they're supposed to follow as well. Perhaps some kind of peer pressure to maintain the status quo from above, those in power, I guess. Heck, wasn't there one character in there that he just wanted to see his daughter again?
Yes.
Yes.
So, he was kind of like anti the norm for the culture, but he's just trying to lay low and play along. So,
but that storyline's made all the more complicated by how the book ended.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like he's gonna get there and be quite disappointed.
Yeah, like they're gonna neglect to tell him things.
Yeah.
Just get him to do whatever they want.
I also wonder if the sister, because there was 2 girls in the photo of that family, and I wonder where the other daughter is.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. It's very true.
To answer your question about, I think, so first, Bitch Planet is described as an ongoing series, right? So there are 6 issues so far, which are covered in the volume that we read, but it is described as an ongoing series. So, do I think that it's going to have a happy ending at the end of the what's it called? Mega Ball? Is that what it's called? Megaton. At the end of the Megaton match game,
or
whatever.
Or Duamila.
Yeah. I don't think it can be as simple as that. And
I feel like it's going to come out to a tournament or something. That's how they're going to perpetuate the story.
I'd actually kind of like to see it take a turn away from the Megaton stuff.
Well,
I don't know. And the driving force is that I want to see these women like escape Bitch Planet, right? I want to see them live like nice regular lives. Not that I think that that's possible in this particular universe, but I don't think so. I guess if I think about it that way, right, then I don't think that the outcome of the Megaton game is going to be good, right? Because it's because I'm already looking for a different storyline that will have the good ending. Makes me feel like I, don't hold much hope for the current storyline having a happy ending. Do you think there can be a happy ending in this universe? I don't know. I guess. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I think best case scenario is that they take over Bitch Planet, and then they have a haven for non-compliant women and men to settle there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's best case scenario.
Yep, that's pretty good.
See, my imaginings is that they're going to end up building up these characters, and then it's going to go all Game of Thrones, and they're going to start knocking them off and creating sympathy for the team as they try to progress, and it's going to create a public outcry, and therefore cause political and public difficulties, thus kind of a women's rights movement inspired by the failures of the Megaton gang. That's my
like
thoughts.
Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Everything
But
is
with
stacked
less
against
bows.
them, though. In this Megaton, I feel like everything is stacked against them.
Yeah.
They are seriously an underdog, but I don't doubt their strength of the perseverance within this group. It seems pretty, especially Penelope. She's kind of rocking it. She's gonna pull them through.
I did like one mechanic of the whole tournament, in that all the teams have to weigh a total of the same weight.
Yeah, and what is that weight? Because my book, the seam was right where it just said 00, so I couldn't get it to open enough. What was the weight?
I think it was like 2,000 pounds or something like that. I
Oh,
can't
it
remember.
was 2,000?
Yeah, so I could be wrong, but I actually kind of like that, because then I don't know if they have like a player minimum or maximum, or if they're supposed to have the same number of players. I missed
They don't.
that. Okay,
They
so,
don't. It's all on weight.
Okay, so then, but then they're also restricted to one-on-one, presumably, and I kind of liked that, because then there was no there's 10 people on a team, and then you've got guys, which by averaging out, most men have more strength in average.
Upper body.
Right. And then women do. But in this case, if they are to use the whole weight aspect of it, it kind of takes that advantage away, in a way. So then it's just a matter of how vicious you are in a one-on-one match.
And I think the thing that would help with that is if they were able to have more players, is that there would be more open people to pass to. It's not necessarily double teaming other players.
Mm-hmm.
It would be the sheer number of people that would be available to pass to, as opposed to the men who would tend to be heavier if they were, picking these very athletic men.
We have the same issue.
Yeah, right? I could not,
Yeah.
but
I think
can
it's
see a
actually
little bit.
purposefully done.
You think so?
It. I don't know. Because I'm come on, I want to see it.
There's another
I
panel
do see
which
it
they
too.
say it's
Does
2
she?
tons of fun.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. I didn't, for some reason, that did not compute to me. So, okay.
Well, there you
2
go.
tons.
So
All
if,
right.
if they're going to do this, they just need to get a willing massive group of 100-pound women, and then they've got a lot of players on the field, like you were saying, and then they may win the battles.
Get squashed.
They might win score-wise, but then half the team's going to end up dead before they're done. So
Right.
And the problem is how much influence the judges have on the outcome of, for example, when they were doing that scrimmage match with the prison guards or whatever, and she was like, they're double teaming her, and of course the judge didn't care.
Right.
So that is also a very big component to this thing.
I have to say, I'm not surprised that happened. I am surprised at the reaction from the team captain. I mean, heck, I guess it was just, I was hoping that she was smarter than that. She seemed to be smarter than that, and I felt that she was kind of underplayed in that aspect. But it really wouldn't have made much for the story if she was that smart. But it's just, I don't know, any kind of sports-inspired movie I've ever watched, there's always some kind of crooked referee or bad call made somewhere that's going to end up giving you sympathy towards one team or another. And yeah, this kind of was no different in that aspect, but it was a bit much when team members die. So I guess I wasn't prepared for that. I was just expecting some maiming and lots of hurt, but I guess you don't really have stand-ins at that point, and therefore if people die on the field, it's like, okay, well, your team is smaller now.
Yeah.
You automatically forfeit the match? I have no idea. But I'm very curious to see where this is going to go. Who's going to get developed next? I think we've got a hint with the possibility of that one woman who she designed. Oh,
Yes.
what was it? You know the one I'm talking
there's
about.
a wrinkle there.
Go on.
It's Mako.
Oh yeah, and she's the one that died, wasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot that little detail. Oh well.
I mean,
that kind of crushes the whole heart of it,
The possibility that she told, gave a plan ahead of time. They can always pull that out.
Or maybe the father that's visiting will end up talking with the team captain at some point.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if that's going to help or not, but he seemed like he would be a sympathetic ear. But anyway, we're actually running a little bit over. So did anybody else have anything else to add before we start wrapping this up?
I just had a real quick question.
Sure.
I would assume it's quick. Were there any characters that you guys are hoping to see more of or an expanded story for? For example, I love when we find out villains and kind of the bad guys. So, these two guys.
Yeah.
The operators? Yeah.
Yeah. I would be really curious to see where they fit into the whole thing, because they seem to have control over way too much stuff. So I would be very curious to see what their deal is, and to find out more about the female guard. I guess she's not really a guard.
Whitney.
Who recruits. Yeah.
Miss Whitney.
Seems more like the warden.
How is she there? I feel like that is a interesting position for a woman to hold in this society.
Yeah.
I would be interested to find out more about her as well.
I think she was probably the one that would top my list. I'd be most curious about the leader of the security guards that are for the women on that planet. She seems to actually feel like she has a lot of power. Maybe that's why she likes it there, because she actually has power to do stuff, whereas in her other positions she wouldn't. But I would definitely like to know more about her character.
Yep, I agree with you. I think Officer Whitney, Miss Whitney, I think she's going to be. You can already tell she's pretty manipulative, and definitely overall kind of. I feel like she's a strong kind of bad guy person. So I'm interested to see her develop a bit. What how much she's going to screw them over. I feel like it's inevitable that she already is screwing them over. So
Yeah.
perhaps they can turn her. Speaking about good outcomes, maybe they could like bring her like I don't know. Anyway, yeah, she's somebody that I'd like to see develop.
Anybody else?
Well, Violet is someone we haven't seen a whole lot of. She's another one of the team members who is doing things, and I assume that they'll talk about her more. She has the bandana on her head. So yeah, that's who I'd like to see a one-off issue with her, much like they did with Penelope.
Well, I guess actually I'd like to jump in real quick and say that the team captain that knows Kung Fu really well. She's I'd be curious to know a bit about her as well, I should say. So yeah, both of those two characters, which are working off of each other throughout this entire thing. Yeah. Hello, Mumu. Don't know if people can hear the kitty, but
Yes.
he's saying it's dinner time. All right. So I think we're going to bring it to a close there. Kashka, do you have the other book handy?
I do.
So,
what we're doing next?
Yeah, next time we are planning on doing this here, Pride of Baghdad. One of the happiest novels anyone will ever read. Who's it by on there? It's Brian K. Vaughan and Nico Henrichsen?
Henriken?
Oh my gosh, I'm going to look that up for the next time. But yeah, Pride of Baghdad, which I believe was chosen by Lilac SC over here. And we look forward to doing that one. So thanks everybody for joining us. I know I had a good time. And we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Holy moly, move.